we know what we have. We know that we have DP caliber players, but not because they just possess that quality, but they possess the human quality as well, the personable quality, right? So they're just good human beings, and we like to start, and I've said it many times in interviews, the person first.
Welcome to the first City Voice podcast of 2024. If you are new to this show, this is a podcast built to get you closer to the people in the building of St. Louis City SC. And if you like this podcast, make sure you give us a review after the show. Our guests check, and that's the only way they come back. Today we have a very special guest. Bradley Carnell, head coach of St. Louis City, is joining us on an exceptionally special week. You've just signed a contract extension. Welcome to the show, Bradley.
Yeah, thanks for having us, and Happy New Year.
Bradley, I think it's February 1st. You signed on January the 31st. How does it feel to have a...
Yeah, nothing changes, For me, it's just a piece of paper, and there's some dates on there that might be a little bit extended, right? So, but for me, continuing this journey to be part of this club, I mean, look where we're sitting. Look at this backdrop. I mean, I think there's so many envious people out there, and I would be one of them if I wasn't inside these buildings, right? So, just to be part of this every single day, to spend this journey with the players, and to see how much we've grown as a group, as an organization, my staff, my team. It's been amazing, this process. But, first and foremost, for me, it's about the family, right? So family decisions come first in my life, and we feel very, very comfortable here in St. Louis. The city's been amazing. The people have been amazing. The culture is amazing. So, why, even think of anything else if you're so settled here?
So last season was pretty intense. You had a bit of time off. How was the break for you?
The break was good. It's oftentimes when I wake up in the morning and on the weekend on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'm up at 6:30 watching EPL or something, and my wife's like, seriously? I'm like, yes, seriously. There's a couple of games to watch. There's some new things to explore and to have a look at how the game model might change and what we might explore. It's a good time to get some downtime. But there never really is any downtime. During the break, we had obviously the Super Draft, and we got two key acquisitions there with Jose Kojima and Brendan McSorley. So the work was never really done, and then you're always planning one step ahead for preseason. So it's always one step after the other, and I always said if you have too much time on your hands, it's not a good thing, because either you're not working or you're not taking your craft seriously enough. So yes, it's good to get downtime and decompress, but I like to keep going.
When signing a new deal, what are the sporting considerations that sort of convince you?
Yeah, listen, I think it's, we're in a unique position to start something from the ground up, and I was able to be, part of that, facilitation process in 2022. To sort of plant the seeds and to grow City 2 along with Hack and Lutz and everybody else involved, and to be part of that, and then to lay those foundations, and then to hit the ground running in 2023. I mean, and to see within a game model of a belief system how we like to do things within our way, not just any other generic way. It's our way. It's specific to this community. It's specific to the club and the DNA of our individual player profiles. So, to see that grow and continue growing, and players, I don't want to call it overachieving, because we got a bunch of hungry guys, ambitious guys. We brought them together within a style of play, and truly got rewarded for it, right? So you can go from the top down. Everybody, really took on this new concept, or took on our concept and ran with it, and I think everyone's flourished.
You mentioned the people of St. Louis City. You've been here for a while now. Are you starting to get the recognition when you're out? How much did their input with you play a role in wanting to stay for some more time?
The hairs on the back of my neck just stand up every time I think about it, because it's extremely humbling. This level of exposure, when I played in Germany, going downtown or going to restaurants in the evenings, there you got a lot of recognition, positive and negative, because, the fan culture is slightly different in Europe. But here, because of the season that we had, it was incredibly rewarding, overwhelming. And it felt like, wow, this is, this fan culture that has been, I wouldn't say created here, but I would say that the fan culture here that already exists almost feels like a European scale type of club, like a really traditional club. I mean, I played for Borussia Mönchengladbach, and those are one of the best fan cultures in Germany, in the Bundesliga. And I would just be like, wow, this feels so similar. Like people going to the local fitness studios in city gear, the local restaurants. I'm seeing, hoodies and pullovers at the bakery in the morning. I'm seeing all the fan gear. So, and to be part of that, to be the guy, in terms of coaching the team, I'm just steering the ship here, but there's so many layers behind me, and we're all so humbled by this process and the recognition and the reward. For sure, there's testing times and we get challenged and it doesn't always go our way. But to see the city backing us and supporting us, I'm speechless.
So you're a forward-looking guy, but I want to spend a little bit of time talking about last season. And now you've had a bit of time to decompress and have a think about it. What are some of your favorite memories that you'll cherish forever from last season?
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, listen, the very first win on the first time out away in Austin was, I remember sitting on the bench 3 minutes before the end, or in injury time, and looking at the bench and saying, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen first time around, first time out? And then obviously it did. And the way we got challenged, we came back, we fought our way back, and then we, get the go-ahead goal with Klaus, and we hold it down, some hairy moments at the end of it. But that was a massive moment for us. And then you get the momentum to go the 5-0-0. I could even take it back to the very first preseason game against Philadelphia Union, where our boys went head to head, toe to toe with, an MLS contender at that time, and, really chest against chest, really taking them and putting them in a tough game. And that was our first time out as a group. And that gave me hope and inspiration. And then, you go the 5-0-0, it's a massive moment for us. And then, obviously 17 wins. But, on the field, I would say, in the second half of the season, we got challenged many times. But to go away Minnesota, go a goal down, fight back, one of Klaus's first games back, we win 2-1. Losing away at Houston, fight back, we tie, get a point on the road, 1-1. That showed character and resolve from the group. So we have this fighting mentality in us. Are we trying to instill that even more so this season? Yes, 100%. But those are probably the standout moments. I mean, listen, the rain game, Cincinnati, here at home, where we get delayed for 2-3 hours, and then 18,000 fans come back and cheer us on and will us on to victory. And I think the scoreline was just a gift to the fans because, everything went right for us on that evening. So, those are some of the key moments I'll take away.
It was your first full season in charge of a team. What was your one lesson that you took away? Was there one thing that you're like, that's my learning from the year? Yeah,
you come here with a set of ideas, and you come here with a set of, you know how you perceive the things to be, but then there's also a staff that you have and people around you that may have more experience than you, or different walks of life, and get to listen to them too. And so that assisted me massively, right? As part of being a leader of a group, it's not always your way, and you find a way that works best for the group. And I thought those were nice learning moments for me as well, because being totally rigid is sometimes not a good thing, and being a little bit open to explore and listen and take bits and pieces of information. And a lot of that information came from the players, because, I told them that, I'm driving their bus, and wherever their bus wants to go, I will take them. All right. So I rely on them for information as well, because it's no use me having training methods and coming up with ideas, and if we don't believe them, if we don't buy into them. So, credit to the group for challenging me as well. And, I had my ways coming into this job, but then you get to explore different character traits, different personalities, different skill sets on the field, and which now allows me to be a little bit flexible in my approach. And I think we all gained, I would say,
Is there a non-sporting moment that sticks out for you?
No, I mean, I believe I have a purpose in life. I believe, my journey within this game that gave so much to me, always to give back. And, then it's, I look at my family and to spend moments with my family in the days that we have off, or the minimal time that we get to spend between games and between trainings. And yeah, just grateful for those moments, spending time with family. And obviously when one daughter goes off to college, then there's only one. I have one more child at home, so spending time with her as well, because the clock is ticking, yeah. And eventually they'll all be out the house. And so spending time with family for me has become, I wouldn't say it's become more increasingly monumental in this journey, but it's, I've always been family first man, and spending these moments with these challenging times and within this industry, it's just the moments I get to share at home are great.
That's great. So let's talk about close season. You've already mentioned that you're an always-on guy when it comes to football. When does the assessment of the previous season start? Is it something that you're always thinking about as the season goes on, or do you do like a sort of big debrief at the end?
We for sure do a big debrief, of which, Diego's also involved, Lutz is involved, Part of it is pride, because, whether it's gone good or bad, we like to poke holes in what we are doing and like to validate and prove why we are doing what we're doing is the correct way. But within that, there's all little microcycles of why we, how we track things and are we on track. And, it's easy when it's going well, but when it's not going well, then what are you doing the extra bits? How are you involving, is it more unit meetings? Is it more involving the players? Are you tracking style of play? So what I usually do is through the season, we keep databases, not just goals scored for or against. We track 6 game blocks, how we did in those windows. What was our averages, goals, shots taken, shots against, field tilt positional profiles, like how we, assess individually in the units. So yeah, we track these things as we're going. And pretty much at a mid-year debrief with the staff, we see where we are and where we want to go and things we need to improve on. But each game gives you a new picture. Each game, each month gives you a new cycle and a new picture, right? So we track those in 6 game blocks and we see what comes out of those, what the data suggests, what the eye test suggests, and we work from there. So it's always a work in progress. And at the end of the season, based on my previous working relationships with other clubs, you build your style of play video and how it's evolved and how it's changing and, how you're adapting to new players and new moments. And so we've done a really good job with that. And I think we have an amazing staff who put in those hours to get the job done and to be ready to present and be ready to collate and capture all the data.
How much of an idea do you have on who's going to stay and who's going to go? Like you finish the season with a certain squad and then all sorts of chaos happens during a number of weeks. How much of that can you plan for, or do you plan for?
Yeah, I think you have a core squad to work with. I think there might be, based on the year that you have, there key interested parties, clubs looking for new players, and there's always little questions that, how much do you take them seriously from little, other clubs, trying to sprinkle some interest. So you're trying to take that with a little grain of salt, not to overthink it, because there's a lot of talk in this business and there's a lot of, interested offers and a lot of things on the table. But, how much do I need to know? How much do I want to know? And how we're going to act if certain things happen and fall into place. So it's always good to know. But after a season like we had, we knew we were going to have interested parties from other clubs, and Nico Gioacchini is one of them. And Nico's dream was always to go back to Europe. So, to play a facilitating role in his dream, to pursue his dream to get back to Europe. We knew that was one department where we'll probably lose Nico. But then again, it's always an opportunity. So I see departures as opportunities.
Do you think that sends a message to the market that this is a place to come and realize your dreams? Is that important?
I think it is important. I think within a certain style of play, I think, a lot of teams are spending, a lot of money, and a lot of teams are investing. We've always invested in the team, not just the individual. So, and I think part of that you've seen on full display last year. I think you've seen it at City too. And, we don't want to be the cheapest team in the league, but we want to be the most competitive team in the league. And sometimes when, the more expensive the players become, the more maintenance they become as well. So then there could potentially be other issues, in and around, on the field, off the field. So again, it's not always the case, but for us, it's always important to know that when we acquire a player, when we are working with a player, to believe in a certain way, to believe in our way, to commit to our way. And, the players that we've had last year, January, if you looked at all their values now, even a Roman Burke's value has gone up. Even a Edu Löwen's value has gone up. So everyone's skyrocketed, right? And credit to the group for being willing and open to learn. This growth mindset of ours has been incredible to work with. Yeah.
So you've lost Nico and Jared Stroud, two big personalities on the pitch. How does that affect the mood of the camp?
Yeah, I mean, it's always emotional to see guys go, especially with guys who invested so much and got rewarded so much and helped the city and helped the club to get to, these historical moments. But everything has a life on it, a date, right? So, I mean, I'm sitting here, who knows, in 5-10 years' time, what the case might be, right? So, and that things escalated a little bit quicker than planned with Nico or, with Jared. That's just the nature of the game, right? And then it's also the nature of the game, and something we believe in very much is opportunities. Opportunities now for other players to step up. And we showed many positive moments of that last year with our sort of plug and play system, the hybrid system, all rounder system where guys can play multiple positions. Guys, we're playing every 4 days during that Leagues Cup break, changing formations and still getting results. For us, that escalated really quickly with Jared, Jared was really excited to take on that new challenge, and I know Nico was as well. So again, we are just here to facilitate players' dreams and purpose. Within that, they repay us with great, dedicated, hard work, and everyone gets rewarded, right? So we do well in the moment, they do well in the future. So I believe in that. Nothing changes. It's part of the game.
You've been around a lot of dressing rooms, both as a player and as a coach. Can you feel when players are ready to take the step up? Like, can you see, the way they carry themselves in the dressing room? Are you feeling any of those vibes pre-season already?
Yeah, I do. I mean, and we've seen bits and pieces last season, sometimes timing might have not been on a player's side, or an injury might have not been on a player's side, but huge potential. This year I'm seeing a lot of guys coming with renewed vigor, renewed energy. And I can, go around the horn, but I'm looking at like a Celio Pompeu to step up to the plate. I'm looking at a Thomas Ostrak, who's got tons of quality, quick feet, really a difference maker in certain parts of the field. And this is an opportunity, right? So, I think the players can do the math themselves. They look at two players gone. They're looking around. They're looking at checking their own shoulders and saying, all right, here we are. This is us now. Let's get to work. So I'm seeing great energy in the training. And it's always a joy to be, part of a group through hard preseason days, double days, and to see the players at the end of it, arm in arm, sharing a joke while they're cooling down or stretching down. And it just shows that we have a special group.
Fans know that there's a DP position available in the club, and they see other clubs are spending lots of money.
Yeah.
The strategy of City is building stars and unearthing gems. Do you still feel that is the right approach moving forward?
Yeah, if you look at what we did last year, right? So we got, I don't want to disrespect anybody in our locker room and myself, but we're a bunch of nobodies, right? So we're a bunch of nobodies with a point to prove. Some guys were on the out and out based on injuries, based on performance, based on history, based on age. I don't know. Never got opportunity. I don't think Nico Gioacchini was in the question mark that he is now, because he joined us. Orlando, didn't really value him. They let him go on an expansion draft, right? So, we picked up Nico based on certain profiles, based on certain principles, and we saw certain weapons, qualities that he possesses within our game model. So, now it takes the character, it takes resolve, it takes grit and resilience to to fight that urge to quit when it gets hard, because we push to the limits, we go all the way. So for those guys, and that's what I say, the player gets rewarded when they stick to these principles, because Nico's value is not the same as what it was when he walked in these doors in January of 2023 as they were now. And that's why we were able to capitalize and help him achieve, the next chapter of his career. So I think it goes hand in hand. And I think the DP status is always a tricky one. We know what we have. We know that we have DP caliber players, but not because they just possess that quality, but they possess the human quality as well, the personable quality, right? So they're just good human beings. And we like to start, and I've said it many times in interviews, the person first, right? And if they commit to this process and buy into it, and we believe in a certain way, and our way is not the most flashiest, maybe for people who believe in a different beautiful game, but this is our beautiful game and our story to write. So, I'm not saying that we will or won't engage in the market. So obviously we're always assessing, and that's a great question for Lutz and Diego to tackle over the next coming weeks. But right now we are dedicated to getting this preseason done and putting everybody in the best spot to succeed.
So I want to talk about player development, like you mentioned. Been talking about how you can develop players that are a bit more seasoned. The academy is a massive point of pride for the club. The fans love to see a breakout star. Do you have hopes that we've got players in the ranks that we might see this season potentially?
Yeah, listen, I think the Miggy Perez, the Caden Glover, I think we need to give them time to now not adjust, because it's a big jump, right? Academy, homegrown contracts and what have you. I think we need to allow that. I think the academy is doing a great job in terms of, developing, whether it's a top-down approach, bottom-up approach, so we always collaborate, we share ideas, we try and enhance the player experience, just in terms of what it means to be, a pressing player. What does it mean to be, a player who loves to win the ball up high? So these principles are ingrained in us, and I think you can see the UPSL doing an amazing job, still currently in championship contention. We've seen good strides forward from all the academy teams this year. And then we've joined, Tyson Pierce has joined us for a preseason camp again most recently. Caden's with us for sure. And then, Carson Locker, for example, or Nick Bishop from, the goalkeeping department. I always neglect the goalkeepers somehow, Alex Langer, he's always like, you forgot the goalkeepers again. So made sure to give Nick Bishop a shout. These guys have done amazing jobs and come with us. It's an intimidating experience being part of a preseason where things are flying a million miles an hour. And, that's where we need to sprinkle more opportunities like this. So Michael Wenzel has joined us as well now from City 2. He's a big leader in City 2. And we let go of Lucas Bartlett. And obviously there's a position up for grabs there as well. So we checking in on Michael Wenzel. He's doing a great job. So he's part of our group right now. And we're just trying to bring everybody along. So yes, there are a couple of names. Christian Olivares joins us now from City 2. He's our third choice goalkeeper. Again, Roman speaks very highly of him. He sees the qualities he possesses every single day in training. And again, it doesn't stop there, right? So just getting a pro contract just doesn't stop with City 2 or with us. That's when the work really starts.
Do you relish that side of the job when, do you see a bit of yourself in some of these players? Like you understand their mindset coming in and, you've got Tyson looking and it's Roman Berkey, a Champions League goalkeeper playing there. Do you?
Yes. Part of me never respected those types of players. I never really respected players who were much bigger than me or what have you. And I think that's what brought us equality, right? They saw that I wasn't intimidated by names or numbers on the back of the jerseys. If you're number 10 and your name was Krasim Abalakov, or if you're number 4 and your name was Thomas Berthold, who won the World Cup in Italia 90. These were my teammates, and I treated them like teammates. I had respect for them for sure, off the field even more so, but on the field we were equals. And I think that's always, stood me very well. And that's my only advice is, yes, you push the buttons, you prove you're equals, despite age, despite experience. And you always want to push the buttons because, guys, whether you're coming up or going down to a City 2 game to play, there's always a bit of tension, I would say, and excitement at the same time, because I'm a kid playing with Roman Berkey. I'm a kid playing with Tim Parker. How does that pan out? Listen, Carson Locker is a good example. He's, a guy who mixes it up with the pros and mixes it up and gets stuck in and does his bit. So it's always fun to watch this, process between seasoned pro and newbie coming in. There's a gap for sure, but then there's also a respect, and it's great to see older players giving back, because essentially you're grooming those ones to take your job one day. So our group's been fantastic with the new players.
Would you mind giving a bit of an overview on how people like you are thinking about the loan system and how you use it to your advantage? Because Miggy Perez has gone out on loan to Birmingham. Like, how does that work?
So, I mean, without mentioning names, I worked with a player at the New York Red Bulls, and was touted one of the best teenagers coming through the ranks. And just by having him with us, he actually lost development time, because sitting on a bench on Saturday, didn't get him minutes on a Saturday when the two team were playing, or so he lost valuable minutes. So we always had him as a homegrown. We always had him as this young hotshot. And unfortunately, he didn't get the minutes he needed for his development and his process. So with me thinking out loud, in discussions with Lutz, and be like, is Miggy more valuable just sitting on the bench with us? Is he ready for 90-minute performances week in, week out? Or is he better suited to develop in a game system, in a slightly lower level, and the USL it's a really good mechanism for Miggy to progress. So, I don't want players to lose development. We are actually trying to help them gain more experiences, get more match ready, and be ready on call, because, at any time, you saw how it worked with Sam Adeniran last year. So, rather than just getting frustrated, being a training player, just, not really putting on the jersey on the weekends, go create value, go create minutes, go get those minutes and go and enjoy this process and be a player in a regular format, in a regular environment. And that's the only way to gain that experience. So I see value at almost flipping the coin on the other side. And, Miggy will come around, Miggy will get his minutes, and Miggy's now is a challenge for him. Because as the youngster, it's always nice and comfortable in St. Louis. So if you travel and leave and put yourself, make yourself uncomfortable certain times, you can only develop more as a person, as a player. Your experiences will grow. You forge new friendships. You gain different cultural experiences. And I think this is magnificent. And this is a big piece for Miggy's progress. So
with the City 2 roster building, do you take a look in and see what's coming? Are you part of that process, or is it like something that's inside?
Bobby's been great with that. He's very open, and always, we always have one eye on, physical tools and positional profiles, and what do they bring to the table with and without the ball. And I think this year City 2 is going to be, another level, where they were last year. And again, we've seen City 2 grow from 2022 with Akil, Joshiaro, Kyle Hebert. There's so many players that Preselio progressed through the ranks and actually gained valuable minutes for us and made valuable contributions. So there's no reason why that conveyor belt shouldn't continue to be. Obviously, you're not just force feeding 4 or 5 players up. Looking at Connor Bradley now for Liverpool, magnificent coming through the ranks. Academy player, getting now valuable time, contributing now at the first team. So again, is there going to be 5 a year? No. Is there going to be 1 every 2-3 years? Maybe. That's just the nature of the game, right? So it's not always that every academy prospect or academy player pans out. I mean, you can look at the best academies in the world, Bayern Munich, all over the place. How many players from Leipzig ever made a first team debut? So the percentages are very, very low, and that's just the nature of the game. But if you can continue to develop and invest in people, whether it's here in St. Louis or whether it's somewhere else in a USL or another professional team in the MLS, then it's just part of playing the facilitator. We get first dibs at this prime prospect. But again, we just want to continue to developing people.
Fantastic. Let's talk about the roster build. Firstly, Jose Kojima and Brendan McSorley. They've come through the draft process. Give us a little bit of insight about these 2 players and what you've seen in them.
Yeah, great work ethic from both the guys now. From sort of seen them in their college environments and then seen them through, Jose a little bit less because he arrived a little bit later. But Brennan was, full of energy from day one. He's a runner, right? He's a guy that commits to the principles that we play by. And again, the levels, there's a big jump, right? So we're trying to integrate him, as we go. Jose is very curious, very inquisitive. He asks a lot of questions, dissects the game in many moments and wants to see video. And so you can see he's a great student of the game. How can we develop that within his tools, his physical tools? He can play two positions. He can play a holding midfielder or an outside back on the right-hand side. So yeah, these are interesting prospects, I must say. They both possess a ton of what we like individually as physical profiles. And we just have to give them more reps at these games coming up now in Coachella, the preseason games, and scrimmages here that City 2 might have. So, there's no guarantees whichever direction, one or the other. But it's great to have them with us right now. And it's great to see what they can offer and gain the respect of their teammates.
So you've added 2 players from Europe, one from MLS. Could you talk about the bigger picture of what you were trying to do to the squad?
Yeah.
These last 2 months.
Yeah, from a defensive standpoint, create more competition, create more depth, and I believe 2 deep on every position gives you a good, healthy competition platform. And yeah, with the new tournament for us, the Champions Cup. It's another cup competition. With Leagues Cup, it's another one, the Open Cup. So there's a ton of minutes to be shared amongst the players, and I'm a fan of sharing minutes.
You were definitely a fan of sharing minutes last season.
So how that pans out this year, I don't know. Every team has a different dynamic. Every new year starts its own picture. How that's going to pan out, I can't tell you. But we're going to have take the first 2 weeks. From our schedule, we play 4 games in 2 weeks. So that's going to be a challenge on its own, especially in preseason mode, right? So we got to get out that preseason mode really quickly and hit the ground running. So yeah, the boys, or the work that the boys are investing in now will, help us through that little stretch as well. But again, Thomas Totland creates, both sides of the game, good final third entries. He's good in the build-up play. He's got a good engine. I think Nicolas Durr even, similar attributes. Him and Anthony very similar suited to each other. That'll be a great competition between those two. Even Akil Watts has done an amazing job now in preseason at that position. He's done really well. We know he can flip between a 6 and an outside back role. And Chris, we looked at his data, his running volume, right? Yeah. He's not the biggest sprinter out there, but he covers tons of ground, and just thinking, at times in our defensive transition at times last year, we were left a little bit exposed and, we were thinking, how can we shore up a little bit of our defensive structure when we have the ball, right? So me as a coach thinking, when we have the ball, we're at our most vulnerable because we lose it. What are we doing to win it back, or what are we doing to recover? So, that's where Chris Durkin comes into the picture. And again, he's got good experiences under his belt. He's played in Europe. He's played in the MLS, so he knows what it's all about. He's got, an amazing mindset. He'll run through a brick wall for his teammates on the very first day of meeting them. So yeah, he's going to empty the tank every single game.
I mean, to talk about Chris, at 23 years old, 12,000 minutes of professional football. Do you look at that experience that he's had in Belgium? Is that are those extra tools in his armory? Does that say something about a player when they've travelled around a bit?
I think going and being vulnerable. I think seeing a new place. He played with Klaus, which is a nice little bit of information. A little bonus, making him feel more welcome here. He's American, travelled abroad, was open to coming back and experiencing things first at DC and then now with us. So for sure those experiences help, and for sure his American history, culture will help him here too. So, and he's proven that time and time again for DC, and we're happy to have him here.
Nicholas comes from Midtjylland, a club known for unearthing gems. How long will it take players like that to adapt to the rigors of MLS? It's very different.
Yeah.
Like travel is
Sure.
extensive. Like, do you give them a timeline, or do you expect them to hit the ground running?
I expect Nicholas to hit the ground running. Like Thomas and Nicholas were pretty much in season, pretty much, right? So I mean, Nicholas might have had a couple of weeks down now without much game action, but he's got a good baseline of fitness, base levels. So has Thomas. So I expect these guys to hit the ground running, to be able to compete from the very beginning. We just have to see load-wise, with Nicholas. Thomas has played some minutes now. We can assess and evaluate where he is and how we can gauge him and see if he's 90-minute ready. Nicholas, we'll have to put him through those first scrimmages. I think Galaxy comes a little bit too soon, but we'll have to get past that one with LAFC and then see how we can progress him, right? So these are nice little moments to have, but they've played at big competitions. They've played in big formats. They've had great teammates. The talent levels have been very high there. We believe in our capabilities. We believe in our team and how they can contribute to our team. We just feel we do things a little differently, and we have tons of energy, right? We believe in the chaos system. We like a lot of chaos, and even they getting up to speeds of how we operate here. So again, it's almost a culture shock for them. It's a way of, I've gone through style of play videos with those two, with every new player. They've asked questions. We've shown them positional profiles. So it's been really interesting again, because I love this time of year, because new guys come in. I get to start fresh with that new player, right? So there's no history there, right? So it's us with the player and the staff, and how we can influence them within their skill set to be the best possible version of themselves in a City red jersey.
Do the players get excited about, I know the fans are like really excited. They want to see these guys out on the pitch. Do the players have that kind of want to see, what's this guy all about?
After they see our style of play video, they're like, yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time. I mean, when we watch the video ourselves as staff or show the players again, it's inspiring, the energy that we put out, the commitment that we commit to each other, we give each other every single day on and off the field. It takes a special group to do that for 11 months of the year. So hopefully soon it could be 12 months of the year.
Do you give them any advice? Now you're a seasoned vet in St. Louis. Do you give them, what's your bit of St. Louis advice you give the guys?
For the new guys coming in?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I wouldn't say any advice. They have a skill set. They have to come and show who they are, and be positive and not arrogant in terms of, I come from Europe, I deserve to be treated differently. So we don't treat players like that. We're all equals. We just try to lead by example, whether it's the staff or the players, and show them how we are. And we do things differently. I spoke to Nicholas and Chris, and our approach, it's different, right? I'm a very approachable coach. For sure, I have my belief system. And like I said earlier in the podcast, they've educated me as well in terms of my journey and how I forge and speak to different players. So that's part of my next step of, each player has their own different character. They have to be spoken to differently. They have to be treated differently. They have different beliefs. They have different backgrounds, cultures. So for me, going through all of that and getting guys excited about how we do things here at City, it's an exciting journey, because it's almost refreshes me as a coach in terms of our tactical profiles. And that's our baseline. That's our foundation. That's our non-negotiables. And now this is what we're adding this year.
So let's talk about preseason preparation. This time last year, people are working out how to turn the lights on in the training ground. You've had a year under your belt. Is it slightly easier heading into the new season? Like now you've seen what the players can do, or is it a whole set of new challenges? Yeah,
you're not starting from scratch, right? So the principles, the philosophy, you're not starting from scratch. So every day you're not like, the less the players hear of me, the better it is, right? So the less that I'm such a dominating voice, that means I don't believe we're on the right track, right? So now, empowering staff, empowering players, empowering seasoned pros, vets, to be a lot more, I want them to be more of a voice. I want them more to take on the ownership. I want them to communicate these things more. And I've seen already a little bit of that, a little bit more openness to being, not just, I wouldn't say told what to do, because we have a framework. This is how we're doing it. And you guys, let's chat about, see how we can get to the best possible solutions within this framework. And now to see the players driving it on their own, I think that's almost, I think that's what every coach loves to see is when players take ownership and drive it on themselves. So no, we're not starting from scratch, which is now part of evolving. How are we not getting stale? How can we now keep on sprinkling pieces of information to the players, whether it's with the ball, whether it's against the ball, whether it's now giving them new data to track, so in games we'll give them certain things in preseason that, hey, this is what we're tracking. So, they are aware that we are tracking things in games, even in preseason. So when they get into a position on the field, they'll be like, oh, I remember this, let's get connected, let's do all together, let's break up this side. And so there's a couple of little tactical tweaks that we've committed to, and we're committed to trying these things in preseason. And if that pans out successful, we'll continue that through the season.
So one thing that will definitely change is the media narrative. Last year, you were an afterthought.
Not a 13 or a 14?
Not a 13 or a 14. Is it? Are you prepared that your team now has a target on its back and people are going to want a piece? They're going to want to take chunks out of you because that will show that they're on the right path. How does that change the dynamic?
Yeah, we saw this a little bit against Nashville already. We saw how much it meant to Nashville. Really taking it to us from a physical standpoint.
This is the preseason.
This is the preseason game a couple of days ago, and we said to the players, boys, we have to step up to it, right? So we finished the game 2-2, and we said to the players after the game, you can see now how it's going to be. Every opponent is coming with intent. Every opponent is matching. If we define ourselves by intensity, they're matching it. So what are we doing differently? Because we can't just be intense. There has to be something else, right? So we believe we have a lot of quality in our group as well. We believe that we can break down teams in different methods and different mechanisms. But yes, we've created a winning culture. So we've set standards, and how we can track that, if it's working or not, we set standards in training. So, we can show the players literally on video, or we track it, and we can show them at the end of the 3 weeks or a month that they've lost 7 games in their 8 scrimmages in training. So what are they doing to get on board, to reset? What are they doing? So, we're always just keeping everyone honest and making sure we're driving standards, driving culture, playing by the way we want to play, and showing pictures every day. So how can we get better as a staff, right? So now we've started showing video of our training sessions, in the breakfast meal rooms. So guys are having breakfast, and either it's a joke, we maybe show some nice funny things, or we'll show some really tactical, little tweaks, what we're trying to do, or philosophy, non-negotiables, and holding ourselves to those standards. So we're always trying to find ways to push the button.
You implemented your principles last year. Is there do you have a roadmap? Is the vision implemented? Is it complete, or is there more to come from your coaching and where you want to take the players?
Yeah, I don't think it's all. I mean, I would never get. I don't even think Jurgen Klopp would say his vision's complete after 20-something years of coaching, right? So for me, in my first year, it's the ability not to become too. How would I say, exploring, or, to try everything, right?
Okay.
Because this is the signature, this is who we are. Now, can I add 1% here, 1% there, and evolve slightly myself as a coach and how I message things, how I present things with my staff. And so that's, again, me adapting to new ideas from everybody else involved. But again, we don't want to stray away too much from who we are, because then you forget who you are, right? So, and if we finished 13th or 14th last season, then we would be rethinking the game model.
Right. Okay.
I don't think we need to rethink the game model just yet, right? We need to sprinkle some magic sauce on it, right? So we need to just now go ahead now, and how can we refine the game model within our principles of play, which gives us excitement. And, for sure we're not going to deviate to, we believe in transitional game, with and without the ball, and that's what will remain. But how else can we now become more of a weapon, when things slow down, when there's no transitions? How can we, be better in the final third? How can we create more, definitive moments, and pose teams more problems? And we're saying that from a high caliber, because we scored 60-something goals last year. So you'd be like, are you crazy? Why would you be looking there? You should be looking somewhere else. But and these are the extent, that we are looking at things. Even when things are going well, we're trying to poke holes in the things that went well, and just to see if we're on the right track, or does the data or the eye test suggest otherwise.
So you innovate within the system, and then a lot of the preseason is tweaking things that could be better elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. And I think innovation is a part of it, and what worked last year might not work this year. We have some new players. We have a different feeling about us. Last year I had to create a belief system within the players that they are worthy of playing in the MLS, that they are worthy of renewing their career, that they are not done down and out. So we've got that now. We're up and running. We are those players and we've created value. So now how do we now just continue the pathway of success and continue believing in the system and continue believing in what we do every day is the way to go.
You started with extreme power last season. It was, record breaking. Do you consider the length of the season as part of things that you're going to tweak this year? Is how you peak something that you can control now that you've had a year's worth of data? Yeah,
listen, I don't think, and we've had a look at medical data, we've had a look at the physical data, we've had a look at the tactical data. Physically wise, I don't think we burnt out. I don't think from an injury perspective, we lost 2 names during the season, Klaus and Löwen. But if you look at the availability rates in training and games, we had 94-95% availability from the whole roster in the whole season. So, players were always ready. Players were always fit. Players were always 90-minute ready. And how that looked at the end of the season, do we want that to look like that at the end of the season? For sure not. I don't think there's one thing that I can maybe, it's just a mindset, right? So, we were so determined of proving people wrong, and did we burn ourselves out towards the end of the stretch there when we knew first place is achievable in the West, And I'm not saying that's not what we should strive for, but that's the playoff system. It's the American system. So there's been many teams who never finished the first. They finished 5th or 6th and went on to win the MLS Cup. So is it timing throughout the season, and is it fatigue and rest and recovery and regen, and how do we get it going again to renew the vigor and excitement and enjoyment? And I'm just thinking of ways and means to prolong that for sure, to get to a playoff stretch. And we competing every single day, and we want to remain competitive this season, not to prove everybody wrong, but to prove that we've been on the right track ourselves, So now it's just more validation for ourselves that we believe we have high standards. We believe we can be competitive. We believe we can win. We've shown it. We want to show ourselves again. I don't think this has got anything to do with the outside world anymore. We believe in what we are doing, and we've seen it can be successful. Now we want to continue that for ourselves.
Availability was incredible last year. And so was the amount of starting 11s that you played. Is unpredictability of starting 11, is that one of your secret weapons? And was that part of your strategy last year?
It kind of, when I became interim coach at the Red Bulls, for me it was cut out entitlement, right? Everyone has a chance. And that's how we started it here. Everyone has a chance. And if we believe in the collective, right, we prided ourselves on, the designated team. So why would I rely on 11 players and not believe in the designated team? And when it's going so well, we're getting results, we're being successful, we're being competitive. Yes, there were 1 or 2 games that get away from us, and we were pretty this one didn't go how quite expected. But then a game or 2 later, we bounce back and we're back up and running. So, again, I can't see there's new chemistry in the team. There's new personnel in the team. It might be a different dynamic this year. We have to see how that just goes. Everyone was on form last year. Everyone was giving their best. Everyone was firing, right? So why wouldn't I reward somebody who should be? And we believe that positions are really equal, at times, especially in the attacking department. We believed in a lot of the equality there, and guys were getting rewarded. And, we go 10 goals with Joa, we get 10 goals with Klaus, and we get 8 goals with Sam. So, why wouldn't we believe in this system if it's returning us with 28 goals from our 3 strikers? Many teams would love those returns.
One reward for the brilliant performances of last year is a place in the Champions Cup. Did you expect to be in the Champions Cup so early in the club's existence?
No, but being part of it at the Red Bulls, just I loved that tournament. I enjoyed that tournament. I loved traveling. I was new to America, so I don't know whether it was Dominican Republic or, being to Mexico and visiting Chivas Guadalajara. What an amazing experience to go to Tijuana. Oh my, like it's incredible. Like these experiences for me just helped me develop further as a person, as now as a coach, and getting those. Yeah, we're playing Houston. I know that. We're playing, if we, progress to the next round, then it's another MLS opponent. So, but still playing in this tournament, it gives value. It gives a sense of value. It gives a sense of belonging and a sense of achievement, right? So based on what you've done the year before, it also presents a whole new challenge. You have to be in ready mode and you're just coming out of preseason mode. So how does that now pan into the equation? How can we hit the ground running? So preseason is key for us now. And, not leaving any training session unturned. We're taking every session really seriously, but it's just a celebration of now what was last year. And now we can redo it again in a different name. And that name now is the Champions Cup. So, we're excited as a group. We're excited for the city to put us on display in the CONCACAF region. I'm just looking for hopefully other trips outside of America sometime.
For sure. You were part of a lot of fun away days last season. You mentioned some of them at the top of the podcast. One that pops out to fans, we are playing Inter Miami. Some of the best players in the world, one of the best managers in the league. How excited are you to test your wits against the team that is built expensively?
Yeah, it's fun, right? It's fun being the underdogs and going against world stars, guys who've had great impact and influence over the game. Coaches similarly so. So for me, Tata's been in the league many years, especially with Atlanta, and there always used to be the Atlanta Red Bull rivalry. We saw Tata here last year. So for me, I've never cared about names on jerseys, credit to them for what they've done through their careers. But when we step over those white lines, now I'm on the outside of the white line, but I still feel part of the energy and part of what we were doing. And like I said, we step over that line, there's no respect, right? We respect them for what they've done for the game. But when we step over that, I'm going to be the party pooper. So if you get lost on the 2nd of June, you're going to lose from what's March to then, right? We don't want to lose what's 20th of February and what happens after that. So, for us, getting to a moment and getting to be able to play against certain teams or certain statuses of competitions, you don't want to be lost in the journey, because if you just think about the outcomes, you're on a pathway to failure. For me, it's about training today at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then tomorrow flying to California, and then it's going, how do we present ourselves against the LA Galaxy on Saturday? So that's for me is the journey. And if you get those steps right, then success, could be your friend. And if you put yourself in the best spot to succeed along those building blocks, then the games against Miami, against star-studded teams, that becomes a celebration. And I think it is a celebration, because to have those names in the MLS are great. But it's for us even greater to go against them, because we're still a bunch of nobodies.
Fantastic. There is one game the fans will definitely have in the map, Sporting Kansas City. Can you tell us what it's like to be part of a rivalry like that? And do you look forward to the atmospheres that come with games like that?
I do, and I think it's really grown into something special. How many games were there? 5 or 6?
Like a lot.
It did feel like a lot, and obviously we won meaningful games in the regular season. They get us over the playoff stretch, so which kind of leaves everyone with a certain distaste, or on their side, tasteful. So for me, I think it's forming and merging in the right direction. There's a lot of respect for me as a coach with Peter. There's a lot of respect there. There's a lot of respect for me as an organization. Looking at them, they've achieved a lot as a club. So for us, a rivalry has to be earned. And by us, winning the Western Conference in the regular season, we've earned respect in the league, and that's all I could ever ask for. Because a baby who doesn't crawl, before it starts running. I mean, come on, you have to go through those stages. So we went through the crawling, we were the toddler phase, and now we pretty much a teenager, I would say, in terms of our rivalry. It's not quite, mature as some people would like to right now. I think it's still very premature, this rivalry, but I think it's trending in the right way, especially how things went so early in the season last year and how things went at the end of the year, which left everybody with a bit of excitement, energy, anger, disappointment, mixed emotions, and that's what a rivalry should bring.
So Bradley, what does success look like for you this season?
Yeah, we want to be competitive in all the competitions, but there's one competition that's on our mind, and that's the season, the regular season, right? So that's our main priority, and to do well in that puts us in positions to succeed. So playoffs is on our mind as a group, as a club, and I wouldn't say we're not prioritizing any other competition, but that has to be our priority. We believe in 34 match days, and we duke it out and see where we are, and see what happens else with the other competitions, and hit the ground running, and maybe have a clean sweep here or there, and find momentum within a certain competition, and then roll with it and give everything to that. And nothing changes us by trying to win our next game. So in whichever competition that is, we want to win our next game. But for us and every player in that locker room, every staff member, we want to make the playoffs.
Fantastic. Well, let's finish the podcast off with a tradition. I'd love you to give a message to the fans about what they can expect from you this season, or just whatever you want.
Yeah, just keep the party going. I know we had this whole of the last year from seeing the standing fans throughout pretty much the whole season. It was hair-raising stuff. It was incredible, inspirational at the same time, just to get the party started again. We're going to do our bit and hope to get the fans on board. We're going to hope to inspire. We're going to hope to get out the best product on the field. We're going to hope to, introduce the new players to you. We're going to hope to surprise you, a few times down the line, and you'll be like, wow, these guys have been really doing something special in preseason. So we're working hard for these moments, and we can't wait to feel the reception, to feel the warmth, to, how can we intimidate opposition even more when they come to City Park, so that's an appeal on the fans to think about something, how we can, intimidate fans or intimidate visiting teams. And when we are here putting it on at City Park and putting our game model on display, which is full of intensity, which is full of passion and heart and desire, everything that this community stands for, how can we put that and continue to do that in 2024?
Well, you heard it here first, City fans. Bring the party next season, you've been told by Bradley Carnell. Bradley, thank you so much for joining the podcast. We'd love to have you in the mid-season break to chat about where we are. Best of luck. The whole city's behind you, and congratulations on signing your new deal.
Thank you very much, and again, see you soon, and hopefully through the summer months, and we find a time for each other to do this, because I believe that was way too long between podcasts, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'll be putting a message out later after this podcast. Okay, City fans, well, you know the deal. Get on there, give us a 5-star review, tell Bradley how good he was, and he'll come back in the mid-season break. And on that note, I'll say ciao for now.
Thank you.